What is up, and welcome back to the channel. We're going to be continuing the C10 today, throwing on some hubs in the front so we can get the tires on there, and then hopefully we can get it off the lift, and then continue on the million other things I need to get done. So the C10 has a hub rotor combination. So you need the wheel bearings. There's two, inner and outer, and then they go onto the spindle over here. So starting tonight, we're going to do dust guards, grease the bearings, get on the hubs, and then we can put the wheels on. All right, we have all four tires back on the ground. Fronts are kind of just hanging out on their own. No steering components connecting the two. But it feels good to have a rolling chassis again, somewhat. I want to push it back so it's off the lift. That way this isn't just sitting on the lift forever. I start feeling bad about that. Next, we got to start taking apart all these steering components. I have everything new except for this drag link and then this link that bolts up to the frame, because obviously there's no ball joints or anything on these parts, so you can just reuse them. So I'll probably clean them up a little bit, maybe paint them, and then I can start throwing everything back on. I need to figure out what I want to do, because I'm going to convert it to power steering. This is just a manual gearbox, and I think I can just buy the power steering gearbox and put it in there, and then I plan on just running it off of the LS power steering pump right there. Doing the research, I think that should work. You just have to kind of do some hybrid lines, but other than that, I think it works pretty good. So yeah, next I'm going to be connecting the steering components so that way when I do roll it, the front tires aren't trying to go in opposite directions. Then I'll do the brake lines, and then I'll probably do the fuel tank, the rear mount fuel tank. I've had that for a while and I'm excited. I haven't even opened the box yet, so I'm excited to open that up and see what it looks like. But first, let's get the steering done and the brake lines. All right, here we have all of the steering linkage back on. Took me a bit to remember how this drag link went. I had it flipped, and so this joint here wasn't wanting to go in the hole. So I just had these backwards because of the taper. It wasn't allowing it to go in, of course. The tires are still out. You need to adjust the toe. That you can do that just by twisting the adjustment there. But yeah, that is on. I just need to buy my steering gearbox, which I'm converting to power steering, so I need to buy the power steering one. So I'll probably run in the store and get that tomorrow. And then that will be all done. So next I think I will move on to brake lines. So I'm still waiting on my power steering box, and so since I'm waiting, I'm gonna move on to the engine mounts. So here we have, these are the Performance Online tubular, I don't know if you call them mounts or brackets or whatever. They pretty much, choose the right side. This one goes over here. Now, one thing that you have to keep in mind when you are installing these is these holes might not perfectly bolt up. So you might have to either be drilling out the mount or the frame, because you have to think about it. 50 years ago, they weren't exactly building things to precision like they are these days. So it's very common for things to be a quarter of an inch off, and that was just fine back then. So here's a perfectly good example of things not lining up. Here we have the top holes pretty much where they need to be. You look down here and you can barely see through there, but on this side you line up the holes and you can pretty much fit a nut through there. And that's just how things are. So I'm gonna have to get creative on how I want to do this one, but I will figure out and make it work. So not a big deal. Motor mount brackets are on. Actually went a lot easier than I thought it would. Didn't have to really drill or trim anything. This side just pretty much dropped right in. Then you saw on this side I had to get a little creative. What I ended up doing was, so I put this bolt in first and then was able to get this bolt in, and then this was off quite a bit, but as you saw I used that clamp and I was able to squeeze it over to where it dropped right in. So yeah, everything went in without drilling. The holes are a little bit off from each other, but that is okay because I'm going to be using adjustable engine mounts, which I have over here. So you see right here, these are the Dirty Dingo LS engine mounts, and what's nice is they are adjustable. So even though these mounting brackets aren't perfect, I will have the adjustability from those engine mounts. That's not something you have to do, but like I said, these frames aren't perfect. They weren't built perfect back in the day, and so having that little adjustability can sometimes go a long way in the end. Next, I was planning on doing the brake lines, but I'm gonna be honest with you, I just don't feel very excited to do the brake lines. There is another box that I've been dying to open, so let's go ahead and open that one. If that doesn't put a smile on your face, I don't know what will. What a beautiful specimen. So what we have here is a Boyd rear-mounted fuel tank. Just because I like building things, I was honestly planning on building the rear-mounted fuel tank for this thing, but I decided to splurge a little bit and just buy it because sometimes it's just nice to receive something nice and throw it on without having to really work for it. I spoiled myself, so I'm really excited about this. It just makes me happy. It's so beautiful. So these rear-mounted fuel tanks go inside this section of the frame here. So it will be pushed up and bolted to the bottom of the frame actually. So hopefully I can use the holes that are already there. Then I'll just have to drill in the aluminum and then bolt her right up. This one, I also bought this AM 340 fuel pump to use. It already has a fuel sender unit. Then just have to get the fuel lines to run to the engine, and should be good to go and easy. Which sometimes it's just nice to do easy. Don't always have to do hard. So let's see if we can kind of test fit this in there. Well, hot dog, does that look good in there? And it is a tight fit. Barely room there, barely room there. She is made for that spot. So I guess next, all we need to do is, I'm going to use these existing holes there and there. So I'll drill those out, and then I'm also going to drill 2 more holes on each side into the frame as well as the tank, and then we can bolt her on up. Alright, so I have the holes drilled in the tank as well as the holes in the frame, and then I also have a little piece of rubber here. Whenever you're mounting aluminum to steel, it's a good idea to put some type of rubber or grommet or something that will protect the aluminum, because the aluminum is a lot softer than steel, and so it'll wear out a lot faster, and so this will just help prevent that from happening. So I just need to go find some bolts and we can bolt it onto the frame. There she is, all mounted up. That ain't going anywhere. So fairly straightforward. 6 bolts, 3 on each side, mounted straight to the frame rail. Like I said, it's a tight fit. Got a 1/8 inch, kind of like an 1/8 inch and an 1/8 inch on the front too. So perfect. Well, I think I have everything that I wanted to get bolted before I took it off of the lift. Fuel tank motor brackets, and then hopefully the other half of the motor mounts come in. That way I can throw the cam of that engine and mount it to the frame, and then we can push this frame out of the way and then work on the cab back there. So I think I'm gonna roll this out of the way. I don't know when the other half of the motor mounts are gonna show up, and so I can't really mount the engine like I want to. Roll it out of the way, and then I can start working on the cab. Bodywork, that's where most of the time is gonna be spent on this truck, unfortunately. It's not my favorite thing to do, but hey. But it's part of the process, which I enjoy, so we will probably start dissecting that cab here soon. But I think I'm going to end it here. Made a little more progress on the frame, and soon we're going to be heading over to the cab. Like I said, I'm excited to strip that thing down and start doing some rust repair. That's still new to me, so it's still fun until I have to do a bunch, and then it probably won't be fun anymore. But until then, we'll say it's fun. So thank all you guys. I appreciate all of you. I appreciate all your support. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video if you like it. That helps me out a lot. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.